You ever get that feeling, like something's watching you from the water? Not a fish, not an animal, something that knows you're there and is just waiting for you to get closer. I grew up fishing with my older brother, Jake. It wasn't anything fancy, just this quiet, tucked away lake deep in the woods that most people didn't even bother with. No docks, no boats, no crowds. Just trees, rocks, and water that always felt a little too still. To get there, you had to hike through this narrow dirt trail for about 15 minutes. Most folks didn't think it was worth the effort, but for us, that was the whole point. No noise, no people, just peace. And honestly, that's what made it special. We'd bring worms or crickets, sit on these flat rocks near the edge, and pull in bluegill like it was nothing. It became our thing. While other kids were out partying, or doing whatever on weekends, we'd head out to that lake instead, usually late afternoon, staying until it got dark. Yeah, we liked fishing at night. Looking back now, that might have been our first mistake. That night was like any other. It was a Friday, sky turning orange as we reached the lake. By the time we got our lines in the water, the sun had already dipped low enough to make everything feel dim and shadowy. We set up on our usual rock spot, same place we'd sat probably 100 times before. Everything felt normal. Too normal. At first, it was just the sound of the water, light ripples here and there. Nothing unusual. Then I noticed something on the far side of the lake. Movement. Not like a fish jumping or a turtle surfacing. This was different. The water was shifting in a wide circle, like something big was moving just beneath the surface. I squinted, trying to get a better look. "Yo, you see that?" I said. Jake followed my gaze. "Yeah, what the hell is that?" The lake wasn't small, and with the sun nearly gone, visibility sucked. But whatever it was big enough to disturb the water in a way that didn't make sense. We both just sat there watching. Then it happened. Something started rising out of the water. Slow. Way too slow. At first, I thought it might be a huge fish coming up, maybe a carp or something. But the shape, it didn't look right. It kept rising, and rising, until it was clear. That wasn't a fish. It was a person. I felt my chest tighten instantly. A full-on human figure, just standing there in the middle of the lake, water dripping off them like they'd been down there for a while. And I mean a while, because we hadn't seen anyone out there before. Not a splash, not a sound, nothing. Jake muttered under his breath, "Nah, that's messed up." I didn't respond. I couldn't, because all I could think was, how long had they been under there? The person just stood there, waist deep in the water, swaying slightly. Not struggling, not shivering, just moving with the water, like they belonged there. It didn't look natural. It didn't feel right. "Let's just pack up," I said quietly. Jake shook his head. "Bro, relax. They're all the way over there." And yeah, he wasn't wrong. The distance between us was pretty big, but something about it felt off. Still we stayed. Big mistake. We kept watching. Our fishing rods. Completely forgotten. The person's movements were smooth. Too smooth. Like they weren't fighting the water at all. More like the water was moving with them. Jake leaned forward slightly. "You think they're swimming? In that water?" I said, "Dude, it's freezing." Just to prove my point, I dipped my fingers into the lake. Instant regret. That water was ice cold. No way anyone was just casually hanging out in it. A few minutes passed. Then suddenly, they went under. Just sank. No splash. No struggle. Gone. We both stared at the spot where they disappeared. Seconds passed. Then a minute. Then 2. Jake pulled out his phone, started a timer. "Bro, no way," he whispered. 3 minutes. Almost 3 full minutes. No one holds their breath that long, not like that. And definitely not after just casually standing in freezing water. "Yeah, nah, we're leaving," I said, already grabbing my stuff. This time, Jake didn't argue. But before we could move, ripples. Closer this time. Way closer. My stomach dropped. Whatever, or whoever that was had moved at least halfway across the lake. Underwater, without us seeing a thing. Then the surface broke again. And this time we could see clearly. It was a girl. Young. Maybe our age. Long dark hair, slicked back. Pale skin. Wearing what looked like a dark green swimsuit. And yeah, she looked normal. Too normal. She smiled. Hey! Like this was just some casual, everyday thing. Like she hadn't just spent minutes underwater in freezing conditions. Jake spoke first. What are you doing out here? She tilted her head, slightly. Swimming. Her voice was calm. Almost playful. Like she was enjoying this. Jake let out a nervous laugh. In that water! She just shrugged. You get used to it. Then she moved a little closer. Not swimming. Gliding. Y'all should come in, she said. I felt a chill run through me. Not from the cold. From her. You serious? I said. That water's freezing. She laughed. Called us soft. Then just stared. Like she was waiting. Something changed in that moment. Her expression. Her eyes. That playful vibe. Gone. Replaced with something else. Something that made every alarm bell in my head go off at once. I grabbed Jake's arm. We're leaving. I didn't wait for a response. But as soon as we turned, she screamed. Not a normal scream. Not fear. Not anger. Something raw. Loud. Sharp. Unnatural. No! It echoed across the lake. Then she started yelling for us to come back. Her voice twisting into something that didn't sound human anymore. We ran. Didn't look back. Didn't stop. Just ran through the trees as fast as we could. Even halfway back to the car. We could still hear her. Screaming. Shrieking. Like something had snapped. And I swear, for a second, it sounded closer. We didn't go back there for a long time after that. And even when we did, we never stayed past sunset again. Because whatever we saw that night, it wasn't normal. And deep down, I don't think it ever was human. But that wasn't even the worst part. Because in the next story, something didn't just watch from the water. It grabbed someone and tried to pull them under. Fearful face. You know that moment when something small goes wrong, and you brush it off like it's no big deal? Yeah, that's exactly how this started. And if we had just left right then, none of what happened next would have happened. My name's Jay, and fishing's pretty much my escape from everything. Doesn't matter if it's a lake, river, or the marshes down here in Louisiana. If there's water, I'm there. It's the one place where things are supposed to be simple. Quiet. Peaceful. Predictable. At least, that's what I used to think. This happened about 2 months ago. I was out in the marsh with my boy Angel. We'd been fishing together for years, and if there was one thing about him, it didn't matter how bad the conditions were, he was always down to go. Cold weather? Didn't care. Long paddle? Didn't care. Sketchy locations? Yeah, still didn't care. And honestly, neither did I. That morning, we took out my 2-person kayak. Same one we always used. The marsh was dead quiet. No other boats. No other fishermen. Just us and miles of shallow, murky water. It was early spring. So yeah, it was cold. The air had that bite to it, and the water, way colder. But the spot looked perfect. We paddled for about 30 minutes before finding a stretch that felt right. Calm surface, good depth, the kind of place where fish usually hit. We dropped anchor and got to work. For the first hour, everything was normal. Casting lines, cracking jokes, sipping a couple beers, just vibing. Angel even hooked something decent at one point. Not huge, but enough to get him hyped. And that's when things started going downhill. As he leaned over the side of the kayak to reel it in, I saw it happen. His phone slid right out of his jacket pocket and dropped straight into the water. Bro! Too late. Gone. Just disappeared into that dark, muddy mess. Angel just froze for a second. Then, yo, you've got to be kidding me. I could hear the frustration instantly. And honestly, I didn't blame him. Phones aren't cheap, and out there, that thing might as well have fallen into another dimension. I got insurance, he said, shaking his head. But not if it's lost. Translation, he was screwed. I try to stay optimistic. Chill. We just saw where it dropped. We'll find it. At least, I thought we would. We spent the next 20 minutes trying everything. Using the paddles to poke around. Feeling the bottom. Nothing. The problem was the marsh floor. It wasn't solid. It was all mud, weeds, and random junk. Even if your paddle touched something, you couldn't tell what it was. And the visibility, forget it. You couldn't see more than a couple inches into that water. Eventually, I leaned back inside. Yeah, bro, it's gone. But Angel shook his head. No, I'm not leaving without it. Before I could even respond, he started taking off his shoes, then his pants. Yo, what are you doing? I asked. I'm going in. I paused. Honestly, it wasn't the worst idea. Dumb. Yeah. Risky. Definitely. But compared to blindly poking around, it made sense. The moment his foot hit the water. Yo, that's freezing. He started cursing immediately, but he kept going. Step by step, he moved deeper into the marsh. The water came up to about his waist, maybe a little higher. I watched from the kayak, arms crossed. Find it quick, bro. You're gonna turn into ice. He ignored me. Focused. Slowly dragging his feet across the bottom, trying to feel for something solid. A minute passed, then another. And that's when it happened. Out of nowhere, Angel jerked forward. Hard. Like something yanked him. 1 second he was standing. The next, he was gone. Completely underwater. I froze. My brain didn't even process it at first. I thought maybe he slipped. Or lost his balance. But then, 5 seconds passed. No movement. No splash. Nothing. That's when it hit me. Something was wrong. Really wrong. Angel! No response. I didn't think. I just reacted. Started kicking off my shoes, ripping off my jacket. I was about to jump in after him. Then, he exploded out of the water. Gasping. Coughing. Covered head to toe in mud. Go! 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 I didn't ask questions. Didn't hesitate. I grabbed the paddle and started moving. Fast. We didn't stop until we were far enough away that the spot looked like nothing more than a dark patch in the water. Angel climbed back into the kayak, shaking. Not just from the cold. Something else. He kept looking behind us. Over and over. Like he expected something to follow. What happened? I asked. At first, he didn't answer. Just breathing hard. Trying to calm down. Then finally, something grabbed me. I felt my stomach drop. What do you mean grabbed you? He shook his head. I don't know. It wasn't a hand, but it wasn't. I don't know, bro. He looked at me, dead serious. It wrapped around my ankle. I didn't say anything. Like, tight, he continued. Strong. Way stronger than it should have been. He swallowed. And it pulled me. Silence. Pulled you where? Away. Like deeper. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe a big fish. Catfish or something. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. Angel shook his head immediately. No. I've been fishing my whole life. That wasn't a fish. The way he said it, that's what got me. Because Angel wasn't the type to get scared easy. And right now, he looked terrified. We didn't go back to that spot. Didn't even try to find the phone anymore. We just paddled back in silence. The whole ride, he barely spoke. And me, I couldn't stop thinking about it. About what could have been down there. In water that shallow, there shouldn't have been anything big enough, strong enough, to do that. And yet, something did. Even now, every time I go fishing, I think about that moment, about what's under the surface, because you never really know what's down there. And sometimes, it knows you're there first. But what happened next? That was even worse, because in the final story, we didn't just feel something in the water. We found something that shouldn't have been there at all. Fearful Face,